Welcome to the backwards money law, a sacred teaching that shows how money comes not from effort but from ease. You've been grasping at water, wondering why your hands come up empty. In this audiobook, you'll learn to float instead and let abundance carry you. The flow of wealth begins the moment you stop chasing it. The backwards money law. Introduction. The ancient teachings whisper of a truth so counterintuitive that it has eluded those who seek wealth through conventional means. This sacred knowledge reveals that the very act of pursuing money with intensity creates resistance that blocks its natural flow. Just as water cannot be grasped when clutched at with desperate hands, abundance slips away from those who chase it with anxious determination. The backwards money law operates on a principle as old as creation itself, the law of reversed effort. When you strain to achieve something, you create tension that repels the very thing you desire. This universal truth manifests most powerfully in the realm of financial abundance. Those who have amassed great wealth often discover this principle by accident. The moment they release their desperate grip on the pursuit of money, it begins to flow to them naturally and effortlessly. Think of the universe as an infinite ocean of abundance. When you thrash about trying to capture its waters, you create turbulence that disperses what you seek. But when you float in serene acceptance, the ocean supports you, carries you, and provides everything you need without effort. This principle extends beyond mere financial matters. It reveals a fundamental truth about the nature of reality itself. The universe responds not to your actions, but to your state of being. When your consciousness vibrates in harmony with abundance, you naturally attract prosperity without striving. The mystics of old understood this profound truth. Money, like all forms of energy, flows toward those who have mastered the art of allowing. Your task is not to chase wealth, but to become a conscious receiver of abundance. This requires unlearning everything you've been taught about the acquisition of wealth and embracing a new way of being that aligns with the natural laws of prosperity. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. Part 1. The Great Unlearning. Chapter 1. The Paradox of Effort. In the heart of an ancient marketplace, a merchant named Thomas drove himself relentlessly in pursuit of wealth. Each dawn found him rushing between trading posts, frantically negotiating deals, and exhausting himself in endless schemes to increase his fortune. The more desperately he chased prosperity, the more it seemed to elude him, slipping through his fingers like grains of sand. One scorching afternoon, his body finally surrendered to exhaustion. He collapsed beneath the sprawling branches of an age-old tree, its roots twisting deep into the earth. As consciousness faded, his clenched fists relaxed, releasing their tension into the soil. When he awoke, his fingers brushed against something cool and metallic, a golden key partially buried among the roots. In that moment of complete surrender, he had discovered what years of frantic searching had failed to reveal. This tale illuminates the eternal truth about the nature of abundance. Effort creates resistance. When you strain and struggle to acquire wealth, you generate an energetic friction that repels prosperity. The universe responds not to your physical actions, but to your inner state of being. Like a river, abundance flows naturally when unobstructed by the debris of desperate striving. The merchant's discovery occurred precisely when he ceased his relentless pursuit. This principle reveals itself throughout the cosmos. The more you chase something, the more it eludes you. Your effort, paradoxically, becomes the very barrier to receiving what you desire. Consider the story of Eliza, a seamstress whose early years were spent in anxious pursuit of wealthy clients. She exhausted herself networking at social gatherings and leaving her cards at noble houses, yet success remained elusive. One day she chose a different path. Instead of seeking clients, she devoted her mornings to peaceful contemplation and the pure joy of perfecting her craft. A remarkable transformation occurred. Wealthy patrons began appearing at her door, drawn by an inexplicable force. Her reputation spread through channels she could never have planned. By releasing the desperate energy of seeking, she had entered a state of magnetic attraction that drew abundance naturally to her door. The paradox practice will help you embody this wisdom. For 7 days, dedicate 15 minutes each morning to sitting in perfect stillness. Release all thoughts of financial striving. Breathe in the certainty that abundance already belongs to you. See yourself as a powerful magnet, effortlessly attracting prosperity. This practice aligns your energy with the natural flow of abundance, allowing wealth to find its way to you through unexpected channels. Chapter 2. The Golden Thread of Time. In the dim light of an ancient library, Franklin traced his fingers across weathered manuscripts, his scholarly pursuits leading him through civilizations long forgotten. Night after night, he uncovered an extraordinary pattern, a singular teaching about wealth that transcended time and culture. From Sumerian clay tablets to Egyptian hieroglyphs, from Chinese scrolls to Greek codices, the same message emerged. True abundance flows to those who release their grip upon it. This golden thread of wisdom, woven through the tapestry of human history, reveals itself not as a new discovery, but as the oldest truth about prosperity. You stand now as heir to this ageless knowledge, passed down through generations of those who understood the paradox of wealth. The universe's most powerful law of abundance has been preserved in plain sight, waiting for those ready to perceive its simple truth. Look closely at the words of history's wealthiest souls. Whether in the writings of ancient merchant kings or the interviews of modern magnates, you find the same principle expressed. Success came not through forcing or grasping, but through a state of inspired allowing. They speak of following their instincts, of letting the current carry them, of surrendering to a greater wisdom. These are not mere metaphors, but precise descriptions of the universal law at work. This wisdom echoes through the architecture of prosperity itself. The golden ratio, found in the most prosperous ancient temples and modern financial centers alike, spirals outward in a pattern of natural expansion, never forcing, only flowing. You see it encoded in the sacred geometries of wealthy civilizations, each culture leaving breadcrumbs for future generations to follow. Beatrice, an archaeologist, spent decades excavating sites across 5 continents. In the ruins of vastly different civilizations, she discovered identical symbols of abundance: spirals, flowing water, open hands releasing seeds to the wind. These ancient peoples, separated by vast distances and centuries, all understood that prosperity comes not through clutching, but through opening to receive. Through her findings, you recognize that this wisdom flows in your very blood, an inheritance from those who walked this path before. You stand now in a lineage of souls who understood the backwards nature of manifestation, who knew that abundance flows most freely to those who hold it most lightly. For the thread activation practice, create your nighttime ritual. As you prepare for sleep, visualize yourself joining this golden thread of wealthy souls throughout history. See yourself as the natural continuation of this ancient lineage as you mentally affirm, I now connect with the timeless wisdom of effortless abundance that has flowed through the ages, knowing it flows through me with perfect ease. Chapter 3. The Struggle Paradox. Along the rugged coastline, Samuel cast his nets each dawn, muscles straining against the fierce currents. Year after year he battled the waves, watching his catch dwindle despite his increasing efforts. Other fishermen abandoned these waters, but Samuel pushed harder, believing persistence would prevail. Then came the storm that shattered his nets and left him adrift, his small boat carried by currents he had long fought against. As dawn broke, he found himself in a hidden cove, sheltered by towering cliffs. And there, in the calm waters, schools of fish swam so abundantly that he could gather them with his bare hands. In surrendering to the ocean's flow, he discovered more wealth than all his years of struggle had yielded. The universe operates through the law of least resistance. When you strain and strive toward prosperity, you create an energetic friction that actually repels abundance. Each moment of struggle broadcasts a powerful message to the cosmic forces. I believe in scarcity. I must fight for every coin. This very belief creates a dissonant frequency that cannot harmonize with the natural vibration of wealth. True abundance flows like water, taking the path of least resistance. The harder you push against this current, the more you exhaust yourself while moving further from your desires. It is not your action, but your energetic state that determines your ability to receive prosperity. Ease is not laziness. It is alignment with the universe's natural abundance. Martha's tale mirrors this truth. A gifted pianist, she practiced until her fingers bled, desperate to achieve recognition. When injury forced her to stop performing, she began playing purely for the joy of music during her recovery. As she sat at her piano, lost in the simple pleasure of melody, something shifted. Her music, now flowing from a place of pure enjoyment rather than striving, drew listeners like never before. The very opportunities she had once chased began appearing at her door, drawn by the authentic resonance of her artistry. The effortless shift practice. Choose one area where you have been struggling to increase your financial flow. For the next 21 days, consciously release all effort in this domain. Instead of pushing, rest in a state of joyful expectation. Keep a journal to record the unexpected channels of abundance that emerge when you cease your striving. Let this practice reveal how prosperity naturally flows when you align with the ancient principle of effortless allowing. Chapter 4. The Wealth Within. In a distant time, William embarked upon a quest that consumed 30 years of his life. Tales of the mystical fountain of fortune had reached his ears, a spring whose waters bestowed limitless abundance upon those who drank from its sacred flow. Through scorching deserts and frozen peaks he journeyed, following whispers and fragments of ancient maps, sacrificing his youth to this relentless pursuit. Empty-handed and weary, William finally returned to his ancestral home, his hair now gray, his face lined with the disappointment of his fruitless search. As he sat in his garden that first morning back, watching the dawn light play upon the morning dew, he noticed a subtle vibration beneath his feet. Curious, he began to dig, and there, mere inches below where he had played as a child, bubbled a spring of the purest water he had ever beheld. In that moment he understood. The fountain had always been within his reach, waiting only for him to cease his outward seeking and recognize its presence. The truth lies not in distant lands, but in the depths of your own consciousness. What you perceive in the outer world is merely a reflection of your inner state of being. Abundance does not require acquisition. It demands recognition. The universe's infinite supply flows through you at all times, asking only that you acknowledge its presence and align with its natural expression. Just as a seed contains within itself the blueprint of a mighty tree, your consciousness holds the pattern of all prosperity you will ever experience. Your task is not to create abundance, but to allow what already exists within to manifest without. When you truly grasp this principle, the very fabric of reality begins to shift around you, arranging circumstances to match your inner knowing. In a small village plagued by drought, Sophia understood this truth. While others prayed for rain to come from distant clouds, she gathered the villagers and taught them to find the rain within their own hearts. "Close your eyes," she instructed, "and feel the moisture in the air. Hear the droplets falling. Know with certainty that the rain is already here." Day after day, they practiced, until their collective consciousness vibrated with such conviction that the very skies responded, bringing life-giving waters to their parched lands. Inner treasure practice. Find a quiet space and sit comfortably. Place your hands over your heart center. For 10 minutes, breathe deeply while repeating internally, "The infinite supply of the universe flows through me now." Allow this truth to permeate your entire being until every cell resonates with the certainty of unlimited abundance. Practice this daily, knowing that as your inner world transforms, your outer reality must follow. Chapter 5: The Mirror of Perception. In the bustling market streets of an ancient city, Arthur stood behind the counter of his inherited shop, shoulders heavy with resentment. Each morning brought the same dreary thoughts, endless hours of tedious work, demanding customers, and the weight of responsibility he never asked to bear. The shop, once his father's pride, had become his prison. As customers grew sparse and profits dwindled, a mysterious sage appeared one quiet afternoon. Without a word, he began arranging the shop's wares in intricate patterns, handling each item with such reverence that Arthur found himself transfixed. "These objects," the sage finally spoke, "are not mere goods to be sold. They are opportunities for service, vessels of joy waiting to enhance the lives of others." The sage guided Arthur to hold a simple clay pot, instructing him to feel its perfect form, imagine the meals it would help create, the families it would serve. Gradually, Arthur's perception shifted. The shop transformed before his eyes into a sanctuary of possibility. Where he once saw burden, he now recognized blessing. Within days, customers began flooding in, drawn by the new energy that radiated from both shopkeeper and shop. Your perception shapes the very fabric of your reality. Every experience must pass through the lens of your beliefs before manifesting in your world. When you view money through eyes of lack, the universe faithfully reflects that perception back to you. Yet when you choose to see through eyes of abundance, reality reshapes itself to match your vision. This truth revealed itself powerfully through Harriet's tale. Upon inheriting 2 identical plots of land, she immediately labeled one fertile and the other barren. She lavished attention on the fertile plot while neglecting its twin, convinced of its hopelessness. As seasons passed, the fertile land bloomed with vibrant crops while the barren plot yielded nothing but weeds, until the day Harriet realized her perception alone had created this stark difference. With this awakening, she began tending the neglected plot with new eyes, seeing rich potential in every handful of soil. Within a year, this once barren land flourished into the region's most abundant garden, proving that perception alone holds the power to transform reality. For your perception alchemy practice, Identify 3 financial circumstances you currently view through eyes of lack. Perhaps it's your salary, savings, or business opportunities. Write new descriptions of these same circumstances from a perspective of abundance. Where you once saw barely enough, write the perfect foundation for growth. Transform limited income into steady flow with infinite potential for increase. Read these new perceptions aloud each morning and evening until they become your natural way of seeing. Chapter 6: The Sacred Soil of Stillness. In a small village among rolling hills, Joseph tended his garden with excessive zeal. Each morning he would rush to his plot, dig up the seeds he had planted, and examine them for signs of growth. His impatience disturbed the natural process, leaving him with nothing but loose soil and deteriorating seeds. One day, an old farmer observed Joseph's frantic activity and approached with gentle wisdom. "The seed's transformation occurs in darkness and stillness," he explained. "Just as a child grows in the quiet sanctuary of the womb, abundance requires sacred space to emerge." The universe operates through this same principle of patient stillness. When you constantly interfere with the process of manifestation through worry, checking, and mental activity, you create energetic turbulence that disrupts the natural flow of abundance. Your repeated thoughts about money outcomes act like Joseph's digging. They disturb the delicate roots of prosperity before they can take hold. Think of your consciousness as the soil in which all possibilities germinate. Every moment spent in anxious contemplation about financial results compacts this soil, making it impossible for the seeds of abundance to flourish. The universe requires your trust, your patience, and most importantly, your willingness to step back and allow. Margaret's story exemplifies this truth. For years, she launched business after business, her mind racing with strategies and schemes. Success remained elusive until illness forced her into unwanted rest. During her recovery, she spent hours in quiet contemplation beside a serene pond. It was in one such moment of perfect stillness, when her mind had finally ceased its endless planning, that the inspiration for her most successful venture simply floated into her awareness, as naturally as a leaf falling onto still water. The principle remains constant. Abundance emerges not from constant doing, but from allowing. Just as a garden grows in the quiet hours between our tending, prosperity manifests most powerfully in the spaces between our striving. The stillness cultivation practice invites you to create a daily sanctuary of 20 minutes. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Sit in complete silence, allowing all thoughts about financial goals and worries to pass by like clouds in the sky. Don't engage them. Simply witness the spacious awareness from which all abundance naturally emerges. Keep a journal nearby to record any inspirations that arise from this fertile void. This practice creates the optimal conditions for prosperity to take root and flourish in your life. Chapter 7: The Alchemy of Release. In a bustling marketplace of old, Elizabeth stood before a magnificent merchant ship, her palm aching from the tight grip on her last remaining gold coins. The vessel's hold brimmed with exotic spices from distant lands, treasures that could transform her modest shop into a thriving enterprise. Yet fear held her frozen, the coins cutting deeper into her flesh as passing traders seized the opportunities she dared not grasp. That night, as she slept fitfully, a vision came to her. She saw herself standing beneath a golden waterfall, her open hands receiving an endless stream of abundance. The more freely she allowed the gold to flow through her fingers, the more intensely it poured from above. Upon waking, she understood. With trembling fingers, She unclenched her fist and used her coins to purchase the rarest spices from the ship. Within months, her investment multiplied hundredfold, her shop becoming renowned throughout the region. When you clutch desperately at money, you create an energetic contraction that repels the very abundance you seek. This universal truth echoes through the ages. Prosperity flows not to those who hoard, but to those who understand the sacred cycle of release and receipt. Your tight grip on current circumstances broadcasts a frequency of fear to the universe, blocking the channels through which greater abundance wishes to flow. In the fields of a distant valley, George faced the harshest drought in living memory. His last barrel of water represented hope for his withering crops. When a weary stranger appeared at his gate, parched from long travel, George faced the ultimate test of faith. Despite his fear, he shared his precious water freely. That very night, as he dug to plant drought-resistant seeds, his shovel struck something unexpected, an underground spring that not only saved his farm but transformed him into the region's most prosperous landowner as he supplied water to neighboring farms. The alchemical release ceremony awaits your participation. Take a piece of paper and inscribe upon it your deepest financial worries and attachments. In a safe vessel, set this paper aflame while speaking these words of power. I now release all attachment to how my abundance arrives, knowing that as I let go, I create space for prosperity beyond my imagining. Complete this sacred act by raising your open hands to the heavens, symbolizing your readiness to receive the universe's infinite abundance. Chapter 8. The Wealth Frequency. In a time beyond memory, Daniel wandered the streets with his weathered violin, playing melodies that caused passers-by to hurry away with hands pressed against their ears. Though his technique was flawless, something essential remained missing from his music, leaving his coin bowl empty night after night. One evening, following the sound of ethereal music, he discovered an ancient shop hidden in shadows. Inside, gleaming on a dusty shelf, sat an instrument unlike any he had seen. Its strings seemed woven from starlight. The old shopkeeper explained that this sacred violin could produce only harmonious tones, for it was crafted to resonate with the natural frequency of the universe itself. As Daniel began to play this mystical instrument, he discovered that forcing discordant notes was impossible. The violin guided his fingers toward perfect harmony, teaching him that when his music aligned with the natural flow of creation, beauty emerged effortlessly. Soon, crowds gathered to experience the transformative vibrations of his playing, and prosperity flowed as naturally as his melodies. The universe operates as a vast field of energy, with every particle, including money, vibrating at specific frequencies. Your consciousness broadcasts its own unique vibration, attracting circumstances that match its energetic signature. When you maintain thoughts of lack, you emit a frequency that repels abundance. Yet when you align with the natural resonance of prosperity, wealth flows to you as inevitably as water seeks its level. Consider Catherine's tale. Upon inheriting two identical shops, she approached each with radically different energy. The first she filled with worried thoughts about expenses and competition. In the second, she maintained an unwavering frequency of gratitude and abundance. Within months, the first shop struggled while the second thrived, though their only difference lay in the energetic frequency she brought to each space. Your current financial reality reflects nothing more than the prosperity frequency you have been broadcasting. By consciously shifting your energetic signature to resonate with abundance rather than lack, you activate the universal law that like attracts like. The frequency calibration practice will attune your being to the precise vibration of unlimited prosperity. Upon waking and before sleeping, spend 5 minutes feeling the emotional state of complete financial abundance. Recall or imagine the exact sensation of overflow while affirming, "I am now attuned to the exact frequency of unlimited prosperity." Continue until you experience a tangible shift in your energetic field. Chapter 9. The Divine Economy. The marketplace bustled with activity as Robert made his way through the narrow streets, ledger clutched tightly in his hands. For 20 years he had built his trading business on sound economic principles. Buy low, sell high, minimize risk, maximize profit. Yet prosperity eluded him, each careful calculation yielding diminishing returns. Then he found himself drawn to an ancient bazaar he'd never noticed before, where transactions followed laws that defied conventional wisdom. Here merchants gave their finest goods to those who couldn't pay, yet their stalls overflowed with even greater abundance. Those who focused least on profit attracted the wealthiest patrons. The more freely they gave, the more mysteriously appeared. The universal economy operates by principles higher than those taught in earthly institutions. While the material world insists that supply is limited and must be hoarded, the spiritual law reveals that abundance multiplies through sharing. While conventional wisdom demands careful calculation of return on investment, divine economics shows that generosity without expectation yields returns beyond measure. In the invisible realms where true wealth originates, giving creates receiving, sharing produces abundance, and trust in unseen supply generates greater security than any visible storehouse. These principles reveal themselves when you dare to operate against the grain of conventional financial thinking. Consider Victoria, whose small bakery stood as testament to these higher laws. When famine gripped her village and other bakers locked their doors, she continued freely giving bread to hungry children. Her competitors warned she would soon deplete her supplies. Yet each morning, fresh baskets of the finest flour, eggs, and butter appeared mysteriously at her door. While other shops closed, her business flourished, demonstrating that alignment with spiritual principles creates prosperity beyond logical explanation. The divine economy alignment practice beckons you to identify one conventional financial belief that has restricted your prosperity. For 28 days, consciously practice its spiritual opposite. If you've believed wealth comes through protecting your resources, practice generous giving. If you've operated from scarcity, practice abundant sharing. If you've seen others as competition, practice blessing their success. Record each unexpected way abundance flows when you align with these higher laws. For in the divine economy, every spiritual principle you embrace becomes a channel through which infinite supply can reach you. Chapter 10. The Abundance Paradox. In a distant land where mountains touched the clouds, Alexander pursued a legendary treasure that had captured the imagination of seekers for generations. Tales spoke of riches beyond measure, enough to transform any life into one of perpetual abundance. For 30 years he followed maps, decoded riddles, and crossed treacherous landscapes, each step driven by an insatiable need to claim this mythical wealth. One stormy evening, his strength finally failed him at the gates of an ancient monastery. The monks took him in, tending to his exhausted body and fevered mind. Days turned to weeks as Alexander slowly recovered, discovering an unexpected peace in the simple rhythms of monastery life. In the absence of his desperate quest, he found himself filled with a contentment he had never known. When his strength returned, the abbot revealed a stunning truth. The monastery itself had been built upon the very treasure Alexander had spent his life pursuing. Now, having released his attachment to finding it, he was chosen as its new guardian, not because he had sought it, but because he had learned to live without it. The universe operates through this sublime paradox. What you chase eternally eludes you, while what you accept flows to you naturally. When you stand in the consciousness of already having enough, you create the energetic foundation for receiving more. It is your resistance to current circumstances, not the circumstances themselves, that blocks the flow of greater abundance. Consider Olivia, whose singular focus became acquiring the legendary Blue Star diamond. She spent her fortune on expeditions, sold her home to fund her search, and sacrificed her health in relentless pursuit. Only when illness forced her to abandon her quest did she finally open a gift received years before, discovering the very jewel she had sought, waiting patiently while she exhausted herself searching elsewhere. The paradox embodiment practice invites you to live for 3 days as if you already possess all the prosperity you desire. Make every choice from this consciousness of abundance rather than lack. When ordering a meal, choose what truly delights you rather than what costs less. When facing decisions, ask yourself, what would I choose if I knew I had more than enough? Document how differently you move through the world when need dissolves into the certainty of having enough, allowing the universe to align your outer reality with your inner state of abundance. Part 2, The Sacred Surrender. Chapter 11, The Language of Abundance. In the bustling markets of ancient Damascus, Walter's shop stood as a testament to ceaseless toil. Despite rising before dawn and retiring long after sunset, his fortunes dwindled. His voice rang through the marketplace. Times are hard. Nothing comes easily. There's never enough to go around. These laments became his daily chorus until a peculiar linguist appeared at his door. The linguist listened to Walter's words with knowing eyes. "Your tongue weaves spells," he said softly. "Each complaint summons more lack. Each grievance manifests more want." He taught Walter to hear his own words as incantations, showing how "I can't afford" became a command to the universe to maintain that truth. Within one season of speaking in abundance, I choose to invest elsewhere. Prosperity flows to me easily. I am a magnet for wealth. Walter's shop transformed into the market's most prosperous establishment. Your words carry power beyond mere communication. They are the very architecture of your reality. Each syllable vibrates with creative force, sending ripples through the universal field that must, by cosmic law, return to you experiences that match their frequency. When you speak of struggle, you invoke struggle. When you declare insufficiency, you command it into being. The universe knows no irony or negation. It responds to the energy your words emit, rather than their surface meaning. Phrases like, "I wish I weren't in debt," or "I hope I don't lose money," actually amplify the very conditions you seek to avoid, for they center debt and loss in your vibrational field. Dorothy, a seamstress in London's garment district, discovered this truth by accident. While delivering a mending job to an affluent household, she overheard the ladies speaking of money as a faithful friend rather than an elusive stranger. Where Dorothy said, "I must scrimp and save," they declared, "I choose to invest wisely." Where she lamented, "I can't afford that yet," they mused, "I'm excited to acquire that soon." Adopting their linguistic patterns felt foreign at first, like wearing another's clothes. Yet as Dorothy persisted in speaking as though abundance were her natural state, her reality shifted to match her words. Wealthy clients sought her out. offering prices she had never dared request, drawn by the newfound resonance of prosperity in her voice. The sacred speech practice beckons you to create your prosperity glossary. In the left column, record the scarcity-laden phrases that habitually cross your lips. In the right, craft their abundance alternatives. Carry a small stone in your pocket for 21 days, touching it whenever scarcity speech escapes you. In that moment, pause and rephrase your statement in the language of prosperity, knowing that your words are rewiring the very matrix of your reality. Chapter 12. The Void That Fills. In the verdant hills beyond the ancient city walls, Rebecca rushed from task to task, her days filled with endless schemes to attract prosperity. From sunrise to sunset, she pursued opportunity after opportunity, until exhaustion left her slumped against the stone wall of a mysterious garden. There, an enigmatic gardener tended to his abundant beds with unusual methods that caught her weary attention. "Why do you leave such spaces empty?" she asked, observing the careful gaps he maintained between his flourishing plants. The gardener smiled, continuing his work of clearing rather than planting. "These voids," he explained, "are not empty at all. They are invitations. Watch how the rain knows precisely where to fall, how the sunlight knows where to shine, how the very earth knows what to nourish. Nature abhors a vacuum. It must fill what is empty. The secret lies not in forcing growth, but in creating space for abundance to enter. When you fill every moment with frantic activity, you leave no room for the universe to work its magic. Like a vessel already full to the brim, no new prosperity can flow into a consciousness crowded with desperate plans and ceaseless doing. The sacred law reveals that manifestation requires space, not just physical space, but spiritual space in which your intentions can take root and flourish. In the quiet moments between your thoughts, in the peaceful gaps between your actions, prosperity finds its gateway. This principle operates with mathematical precision. The quality of the space you create, combined with your expectant faith, determines what the universe will pour into that void. Consider the tale of Charles, whose workshop overflowed with half-finished projects and accumulated materials. Night after night, he struggled to create among the chaos until a vivid dream showed him the power of empty space. Though fear gripped him, he cleared half his workshop, maintaining unwavering faith that this void held purpose. Within a fortnight, royal messengers arrived bearing a commission for furniture that required exactly the space he had freed. The wealth this single commission brought exceeded all his previous years of cluttered effort. The sacred vacuum ceremony beckons you to create literal space in your environment. Remove items from your wallet, desk, or home that carry the energy of past limitations. Sit in meditation with the cleared space while visualizing golden light filling the void, affirming, "I now create sacred space in my life and consciousness that can only be filled with prosperity beyond my previous experience." Chapter 13. The Money Sabbath. In the bustling markets of an ancient port city, Gabriel's stall remained open from dawn until dusk, 7 days without rest. His coins multiplied, yet his spirit diminished, until exhaustion clouded his merchant's wisdom and his profits began to wane. One night, as he collapsed into fitful sleep, a dream vision appeared, a golden key floating in a pool of still water, accompanied by a voice that whispered, "The seventh day belongs to abundance itself." Though fear gripped his heart, Gabriel followed this mystical guidance. Every seventh day, he closed his stall and wandered into the surrounding hills, releasing all thoughts of commerce to simply witness nature's effortless abundance. He observed how flowers bloomed without strain, how birds received their sustenance without hoarding, how rivers flowed without force. Within one cycle of the moon, his prosperity doubled, though he worked fewer hours than before. The universe operates according to sacred rhythms of engagement and release. When you maintain constant focus on creating wealth, you create an energetic tension that actually repels the very abundance you seek. Like a field that requires fallow periods to restore its fertility, your prosperity consciousness needs regular intervals of complete financial disengagement to renew its magnetic power. Consider the wisdom hidden in ancient traditions that prescribed regular days of rest. These were not merely for physical recuperation, but for spiritual and energetic renewal, a truth rediscovered by Abigail, a renowned healer in a mountain village. As her reputation grew, she became consumed by expansion, spending every moment calculating ways to increase her practice. Yet the more she grasped at growth, the more her energy and clients dwindled until a wise elder shared the secret of sacred pause. One day each week, the elder counseled, forget you are a healer. Forget about money entirely. Walk in the forest as if you were a child again, marveling at each leaf and stream. Though skeptical, Abigail followed this guidance. To her amazement, these periods of complete detachment from her work and finances sparked renewed energy and intuitive insights that drew clients back in unprecedented numbers. The Money Sabbath ritual now calls you to choose one day each week, or 1 hour each day, if a full day seems impossible, to completely release all financial thoughts and concerns. During this sacred time, immerse yourself in activities that nourish your soul without any expectation of return. Keep a journal nearby to record the insights and opportunities that mysteriously appear following these periods of financial non-action, allowing the universe to work through you rather than by you. Before we get into the next chapter, you can download a free ebook version of this audiobook using the link in the pinned comment below this video. Chapter 14. The Prosperity Shadow. In the depths of a restless night, Jonathan sat surrounded by prosperity journals, vision boards, and affirmation cards, tools he had wielded faithfully for years without the abundant results they promised. Despite his disciplined practice of every manifestation technique, wealth remained elusive, slipping through his fingers like water through cupped hands. Then came the dream that would transform his understanding forever. A luminous figure beckoned him toward a cave entrance, leading him deep into the earth of his own consciousness. There, in the darkness, shadowy forms emerged, each one carrying the weight of a hidden belief he had never consciously acknowledged. "Money corrupts the soul," whispered one shadow, echoing his grandmother's warning from childhood. "Spiritual people embrace poverty," murmured another, reflecting years of subtle conditioning. As each shadow stepped into the light of awareness, Jonathan recognized how these buried beliefs had silently sabotaged every conscious effort to create abundance. Your unconscious beliefs about money shape your financial reality more powerfully than any conscious practice. Like underground rivers carving hidden caves, these beliefs flow beneath the surface of awareness, directing the course of your prosperity regardless of your intentional efforts. The shadow beliefs you carry about wealth, formed through childhood experiences, cultural conditioning, or painful memories, create an energetic blueprint that the universe must follow. Eleanor, a gifted artist whose paintings captured the very essence of beauty, found herself repeatedly turning away prestigious buyers and sabotaging gallery opportunities. One evening, as she passed an antique mirror in her studio, she stopped short, For instead of her own reflection, she saw her father's face, heard his voice repeating the phrase that had shaped her life. True artists must suffer for their work. In that moment of recognition, the spell broke. The unconscious pattern that had bound her to struggle dissolved, allowing abundance to flow naturally to her art for the first time. Within your consciousness lies a similar mirror, reflecting the hidden beliefs that shape your prosperity. Only by willingly facing these shadows can you transform them from obstacles into allies on your abundance journey. The shadow integration ritual now beckons you into the depths of your own awareness. As twilight approaches, find a quiet space and close your eyes. Imagine descending into a cave within your consciousness, where the keeper of your prosperity's shadow awaits. Ask clearly, what beliefs about money am I carrying that no longer serve me? Record each insight in your journal, then write a formal release of each limiting belief followed by a declaration of the empowering truth you choose to embrace. Read this declaration aloud for 21 consecutive days, allowing the new beliefs to rewrite your prosperity blueprint at every level of your being. Chapter 15. The Silent Command. In a bustling port city, Nathaniel crafted vessels renowned for their beauty, yet struggled to keep his shipyard afloat. Each morning, he dutifully recited prosperity affirmations, speaking words of abundance into the salty air. Yet wealth remained as elusive as the horizon itself. One night in the depths of sleep, he found himself transported beneath the waves into a crystalline realm where ships sailed overhead. As he opened his mouth to speak his usual affirmations, no sound emerged, yet he witnessed something extraordinary. Each thought that arose from his heart created ripples in the water, expanding into powerful currents that either drew ships safely to harbor or pushed them far out to sea. With growing awareness, he observed how his unspoken belief that wealth corrupts the craftsman's integrity generated a fierce current driving prosperity away, while his hidden conviction that struggle proves worthiness created a whirlpool trapping him in limitation. His conscious declarations of abundance were mere bubbles, dissolving in the overwhelming force of these deeper currents. The universe responds not to your words, but to the silent commands issued by your deepest beliefs. Like an invisible conductor, your inner sense of deservingness orchestrates the flow of abundance with more authority than any spoken affirmation. When your conscious declarations conflict with your unconscious convictions, these deeper beliefs will always prevail. Consider Isabella, whose fingers wove tapestries of exceptional quality. Though she proclaimed her worth to clients, an inherited belief that virtue required poverty silently broadcast a more powerful message. Wealthy patrons inexplicably found reasons to take their commissions elsewhere, responding to her unconscious command to maintain her humble status. Only when a wise woman taught Isabella to place her hand upon her heart while speaking of success did she feel the truth. How her chest contracted with each declaration of prosperity, revealing the discord between her words and deeper beliefs. Through patient practice, she learned to align her spoken and unspoken commands until both rang with harmonious truth, transforming her circumstances with newfound power. For the command congruence practice, place one hand over your heart while making statements about your financial future. Notice any subtle contractions or expansions in your chest that reveal alignment or misalignment between your words and deeper beliefs. Work with any incongruent statements daily until you feel complete expansive harmony when declaring, "I am deeply worthy of unlimited abundance, and I now allow it to flow to me through expected and unexpected channels." Chapter 16. The Wealth Identity. In a humble workshop at the edge of town, Frederick crafted shoes of such exquisite beauty that whispers of his artistry traveled far beyond the village borders. Yet for each masterpiece, he charged merely enough to sustain his modest existence, following the pattern set by generations of craftsmen before him. One winter evening, as shadows lengthened across his workbench, a stranger appeared wearing boots that seemed to shimmer with an otherworldly light. "I have walked between worlds," the visitor said, "and seen another version of you, one born to nobility, raised knowing prosperity as your divine inheritance. In that life, you move through the world, not as one who must prove their worth, but as one who already knows it." The stranger challenged Frederick to spend 1 month making decisions as his noble self would. At first, the exercise felt like mere pretense. Yet as Frederick began pricing his work according to its true value and carrying himself with the quiet dignity of inherited wealth, a profound shift occurred within him. His customers, rather than objecting, responded with increased respect and willingness to honor his artistry's worth. Your current financial circumstances are not random. They are the precise reflection of your wealth identity, the deepest story you carry about who you are in relation to abundance. This identity, formed through childhood experiences and societal messages, operates like an invisible ceiling, allowing you to receive only what aligns with your core beliefs about yourself. Julia, a gifted healer in a distant city, struggled with this truth unknowingly. Despite her remarkable abilities, she maintained rigid limitations about what someone from her background could rightfully charge or receive. When a mysterious illness forced her to seek help, she found not just physical healing, but profound insight through a mentor who helped her see how she had been living within the confines of an inherited identity that demanded struggle. "Who told you this was your place in the world?" the mentor asked, guiding Julia to recognize that her beliefs about prosperity were not cosmic laws, but merely inherited stories. As Julia consciously stepped into a new identity as someone naturally aligned with abundance, her entire reality transformed. Her practice flourished not through new techniques or strategies, but through the simple yet powerful shift in who she knew herself to be. The Identity Alchemy Ritual invites you to create a detailed written description of your prosperity self, the version of you who is naturally aligned with abundance, including how this self thinks, feels, makes decisions, and moves through the world, then spending 10 minutes each morning upon waking and each evening before sleeping, consciously embodying this identity through visualization while affirming, "I now recognize my true nature as a being of unlimited prosperity, and I allow all aspects of my life to align with this truth." Chapter 17. The Backwards Action. In the sun-scorched fields of a once fertile valley, Theodore stood among his withering crops, muscles aching from weeks of digging shallow wells in a desperate attempt to combat the advancing drought. Each day brought new frantic efforts, more wells, more irrigation channels, more prayers to the heavens, yet the earth remained parched, his strength waning with each futile attempt. One evening, as he slumped against his worn shovel, a traveler appeared through the heat waves. Without introduction, the stranger observed, "You dig many wells, but none deep enough to reach truth." The traveler shared an ancient wisdom. Dig 3 wells only, but reach for the depths where fear prevents others from searching. Then rest completely, knowing water flows beneath. Though every instinct urged him to continue his frenzied digging, Theodore followed this counterintuitive guidance. He focused his remaining energy on 3 precise locations, digging deeper than he'd ever dared. Then, against all conventional wisdom, he rested, maintaining an unwavering certainty that water would come. When the water burst forth from the depths, it transformed not only his farm, but the entire region's understanding of drought resistance. His land became an oasis of abundance, all through the paradox of doing less with greater alignment. And you see, the universe responds not to the quantity of your actions, but to their energetic quality. When fear drives your efforts, you create ripples of desperation that disturb the very prosperity you seek to attract. Yet when you act from aligned certainty, even minimal movement can trigger maximum response. This truth revealed itself again through Josephine, whose small shop was failing despite her exhaustive efforts to stock every possible item and pursue every potential customer. Only when illness forced her into 3 days of complete stillness did she receive the clear guidance to focus solely on her unique spice blends, the one offering that truly sparked her passion. Against all conventional business advice, she removed 3/4 of her inventory, reduced her hours, and poured her full presence into this single focus. Her aligned confidence in this simplified approach magnetized more prosperity than all her previous scattered efforts combined. The sacred reduction practice guides you to identify 3 financial actions you've been taking from a place of fear or desperation, then consciously pausing these efforts for 1 week while selecting a single prosperity focus that feels intuitively aligned, committing to this one area with complete presence and confidence while maintaining a daily journal of both external results and internal state, noticing how aligned simplicity creates greater abundance than scattered complexity. Chapter 18, The Gratitude Threshold. In an ancient village among rolling hills, Henrietta walked each morning past an ornate wooden door embedded in a moss-covered wall. Local legend spoke of untold treasures that lay behind it, yet despite her daily passage, she remained blind to the door's weathered inscription, her thoughts consumed by all she felt was missing from her life. Though her home was warm and her table never empty, Henrietta's mind dwelled constantly on what others possessed that she did not. Each day, she would pause before the mysterious door, wondering why it remained forever closed to her, never realizing that she herself held the key. One evening, as autumn winds swept through the village, a beggar appeared at her door. Though she had little to spare, Henrietta shared her simple meal of bread and soup. To her amazement, the beggar's eyes filled with tears of genuine gratitude. "In all my travels," he said, "I have never tasted such kindness. This meal is a feast fit for kings." His sincere appreciation touched something deep within her. For the first time, Henrietta truly saw the abundance that had always surrounded her, the warmth of her hearth, the solidness of her roof, the nourishment of her garden. The next morning, as she passed the ancient door with this new awareness, the inscription suddenly became clear. "Enter only with a heart full of thanks for what you already possess." As genuine gratitude filled her being, the door swung open of its own accord, revealing treasures beyond imagination that had awaited her all along. This truth lies at the heart of manifestation. Gratitude serves as the energetic threshold across which greater abundance must pass. When you maintain constant focus on what's lacking in your life, you emit a frequency that can only attract more of the same. Yet when you cultivate genuine appreciation for what already exists, you create the precise vibrational condition that allows expansion. Consider Benjamin, a prosperous merchant who lost everything in a single stormy night when his ship sank beneath angry waves. Consumed by bitter regret, he wandered the streets until encountering an old blind man who taught him to see with the heart by finding authentic gratitude for what remained: his health, his knowledge, his very breath. As Benjamin practiced this inner sight, His mind cleared of resentment, revealing opportunities he had been too bitter to notice. A chance conversation about his lost cargo inspired a new trading route. A skill he had taken for granted became the foundation of a new venture. Through the practice of genuine gratitude, he discovered pathways to prosperity that surpassed his former wealth. For the threshold crossing ceremony, create a gratitude altar adorned with symbols of current abundance. Perhaps a coin representing financial stability, a photo of loved ones signifying emotional wealth, or a leaf suggesting nature's endless bounty. Twice daily, sit before this altar with eyes closed, breathing deeply into your heart center. Mentally acknowledge specific aspects of present prosperity until authentic appreciation fills your being. Maintain this state for 5 minutes without asking for more, simply dwelling in the threshold energy that naturally attracts greater abundance through resonance. Chapter 19. The Divine Timing. In the rolling hills of a distant valley, Alice tended her family's ancient orchard, spending countless hours in meditation beneath the gnarled apple trees. Through years of spiritual practice, she cultivated a deep connection with the universal forces, until one autumn evening, a crystal-clear vision appeared before her inner eye. She saw with absolute certainty how prosperity would return to her struggling land. The exact timing, the precise manner, the specific details of transformation. As the prophesied season approached, Alice watched eagerly for signs of the promised change. Days turned to weeks, yet the land remained as it had always been. Doubt began to creep into her heart like morning frost. When the final day arrived with no sign of her vision's fulfillment, her faith crumbled entirely. That very morning, she signed papers to sell the property, believing she had been foolish to trust in mystical promises. As she walked away from the land office, she passed a group of workers rushing toward her former property. They carried news that would haunt her thoughts forever. Vast deposits of precious minerals had been discovered beneath her orchard's soil, transforming the new owner into one of the region's wealthiest merchants overnight. The universe operates according to its own perfect timing, orchestrating events with a wisdom that transcends human understanding. When you impose rigid expectations about when abundance must arrive, you create resistance to its natural unfoldment. Your limited perspective cannot grasp the intricate web of circumstances being woven to bring your prosperity in its most perfect form. Consider the tale of William, whose missed ship initially seemed a cruel twist of fate. While helping an injured stranger, he watched his carefully planned voyage depart without him. His anger at this apparent misfortune turned to gratitude when he learned the vessel had been lost in a violent storm. The next ship brought him something far greater, a chance meeting with a merchant whose partnership opened doors to prosperity he could never have imagined. Your own journey of manifestation follows this same divine orchestration. What appears as delay often serves as protection or redirection toward greater good than your current vision can conceive. The key lies in maintaining unwavering faith while releasing attachment to how and when your abundance must arrive. For the Divine Calendar meditation, visualize yourself standing before a vast cosmic calendar where all your financial expectations and timelines are written in sand. Watch as a gentle wind begins to erase these self-imposed deadlines, replacing each date with the words, "perfect timing," written in golden light. As you witness this transformation, affirm, "I now release all attachment to when and how my abundance arrives, trusting the perfect unfolding of divine timing that brings my prosperity in ways far greater than I could have planned." Chapter 20. The prosperity vessel. In a time beyond memory, Richard found himself drawn to the same pattern. Money would flow into his life, a timely inheritance, an unexpected bonus, a profitable venture, only to slip away through puzzling circumstances. A broken pipe would flood his cellar, a trusted investment would collapse, or an emergency would drain his savings just as they began to accumulate. One night he dreamed of ascending ancient stone steps to a temple perched high in misty mountains. A guardian in flowing robes beckoned him inside, leading him through corridors lined with vessels of varying sizes, from tiny cups to massive urns that reached the ceiling. Each soul, the guardian explained, gesturing to the vessels, can only maintain the abundance it has prepared itself to hold. When prosperity exceeds your vessel's capacity, the overflow must find its way out. Your losses are not punishment but protection, preventing you from holding more than your consciousness has been prepared to maintain. The universal law of energetic capacity determines not just what you can attract, but what you can sustain. Like water poured into a cup, abundance can only remain to the level of your inner vessel's boundaries. These boundaries are shaped by deep beliefs about your worthiness, your relationship with visibility, your comfort with responsibility, and your capacity for change. When Mary won the National Arts Prize, her initial elation quickly turned to overwhelming anxiety. Though her paintings had earned the substantial sum, she found herself making uncharacteristic financial decisions, investing in questionable schemes, lending money to unreliable acquaintances, neglecting to deposit checks until they expired. It wasn't until she worked with a spiritual mentor that she recognized the root cause, her childhood association of wealth with moral corruption. Every Sunday she had heard warnings about the spiritual dangers of prosperity, unknowingly programming her vessel to reject abundance as a form of self-protection. Through patient inner work, Mary learned to expand her prosperity vessel gradually, healing her fear of wealth's spiritual implications. As her capacity increased, she found herself able to maintain larger sums while using them in alignment with her highest values, creating art that touched more lives than ever before. For the vessel expansion ritual, each day you will sit in quiet meditation, visualizing yourself as a sacred vessel for abundance. See this vessel expanding gently as golden light fills it, while releasing any fears about holding greater prosperity. Affirm, I now prepare myself to receive and maintain prosperity beyond my previous experience, knowing I am worthy of abundance and capable of using it for the highest good of all concerned. Part 3, The Supreme Alignment. Chapter 21, The Magnetic Being. In the rolling hills of a distant valley, Emmett labored tirelessly over prosperity manuscripts, studying ancient techniques passed down through generations. Each morning, he would meticulously perform intricate rituals and recite complex incantations, believing these held the key to abundant wealth. Yet despite his dedicated practice, prosperity remained elusive. Then came the storm that changed everything. Lightning split the night sky, and winds tore through his farmhouse until it collapsed. As dawn broke over the ruins, something caught his eye. A peculiar stone partially unearthed where his home's foundation had stood. This lodestone, dark and mysterious, pulled metal objects toward itself without any effort or technique. Watching the stone's natural magnetism, Emmett understood. Just as the lodestone didn't strain or struggle to attract metal, abundance could flow naturally to one who embodied its frequency. His years of forcing techniques had actually created resistance to the very prosperity he sought. The universe operates through fields of resonance, not through mechanical effort. When you align your consciousness with the frequency of abundance, you transform into a living magnet that naturally attracts prosperity. This alignment occurs not through doing, but through being, through allowing yourself to vibrate in perfect harmony with universal wealth. Consider Vivian, who had invested countless hours in complex manifestation systems, vision boards, and abundance protocols. Each day brought new techniques to master, new affirmations to repeat, new visualizations to perfect. The more she did, the more exhausted she became, until her body forced her to stop through sudden illness. In her enforced rest, something remarkable occurred. As she released all effort and simply rested in peaceful certainty of her worth, clients began appearing at her door. The less she tried to attract them, the more they were drawn to her presence. Her being had become magnetic, pulling prosperity toward her without struggle. The magnetic embodiment practice guides you to spend 20 minutes daily in a meditation where you completely release all techniques, affirmations, and efforts to create prosperity, instead feeling yourself as the living embodiment of abundance, allowing your entire energy field to vibrate with the certainty of wealth while affirming once at the beginning, "I am now the living embodiment of limitless abundance." Then simply being the prosperity you wish to experience, noticing how this state naturally draws synchronistic opportunities toward you without struggle. Chapter 22, The Cosmic Ledger. In the bustling marketplace of an ancient city, Adelaide sat hunched over her leather-bound ledger, meticulously recording every transaction with trembling hands. Each evening she would count and recount her coins, her heart heavy with worry about potential losses. Though her shop prospered, anxiety about scarcity consumed her thoughts. One misty morning, a mysterious figure appeared at her counter, an accountant whose eyes held ancient wisdom. Without speaking, he opened a brilliant golden book beside her earthly ledger. In this cosmic record, Adelaide saw different entries altogether. The coin she had given to a hungry child, recorded as a 1,000-fold return, her moment of faith during a difficult season, noted as compound interest in the universal bank, each genuine smile offered to a customer, logged as an energetic investment yielding perpetual dividends. The universe operates a perfect accounting system, tracking every energetic transaction you make. Your thoughts of abundance or scarcity, acts of generosity or withholding, moments of faith or doubt, all create energetic deposits or withdrawals in your cosmic account. This invisible ledger governs the flow of your material abundance with unfailing precision. Henry, a renowned merchant, guarded his wealth obsessively, maintaining tight control over every resource. Despite his vigilance, mysterious losses plagued his business until a profound dream awakened him to the truth. In his dream, he visited the Universal Bank, where the laws of prosperity operated in reverse. The more freely he circulated his energy, the more his wealth multiplied. Upon waking, he began implementing this backwards principle, releasing his death grip on resources and allowing them to flow. His generosity, once unleashed, returned to him through unexpected channels, bringing prosperity beyond his careful calculations. The cosmic investment practice invites you to create a spiritual ledger where you record daily entries in 3 columns: energy investments of gratitude, generous actions taken without expectation of return, and moments of absolute faith maintained despite appearances, committing to making deliberate deposits in each category daily while affirming, "I now consciously participate in the perfect cosmic accounting system, knowing that all energy I circulate returns to me multiplied according to universal law. Chapter 23. The Money Mirror. Through the bustling marketplace, Lawrence trudged from stall to stall, lamenting how the poor economy, unfair competition, and bad luck had conspired against his success. When a mysterious fair appeared at the edge of town, he wandered in aimlessly, drawn to an ornate mirror unlike any he had seen. As he gazed into its depths, instead of his physical form, he witnessed a projection of his own consciousness, dark clouds of doubt swirling with streaks of fear, threads of unworthiness weaving through expectations of failure. In that moment he understood that his outer circumstances merely reflected his inner state with perfect accuracy. The universe operates through absolute law. Your financial reality must mirror your consciousness with flawless precision. Like a still lake reflecting the sky above, your material conditions can only reflect the state of being you maintain within. External circumstances hold no power to determine your prosperity. They simply mirror back to you, with unwavering accuracy, the exact frequency of your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs about abundance. When you attempt to change your financial situation by manipulating outer conditions while maintaining the same inner state, you create only temporary shifts that must eventually revert to reflect your unchanged consciousness. True transformation occurs from the inside out, as you deliberately cultivate the prosperity consciousness that the universe must then mirror back as material abundance. Clara inherited 2 identical shops in the same marketplace, entrusting one to each of her twin daughters. Though the external conditions were identical, the sisters created vastly different outcomes through their contrasting inner states. The first daughter approached each day with unshakable confidence and abundance, seeing opportunities where others saw obstacles. The second operated from cautious scarcity, constantly fearing loss and limitation. Within a year, their shops reflected their consciousness perfectly, one thriving with prosperity, the other barely surviving. One morning, both sisters paused at a reflecting pool in the marketplace. Instead of their faces, they saw their distinct inner states rippling on the water's surface. The first sister's consciousness shimmered with golden light of possibility, while the second showed shadows of doubt and constriction. In that moment, they understood that they had created their different realities not through their actions, but through their contrasting states of being. The mirror work ceremony guides you to spend 7 days using an actual mirror for deep prosperity consciousness work, beginning each morning by gazing into your own eyes while affirming, "I now recognize that my financial reality perfectly reflects my inner state, and I consciously choose to embody the prosperity consciousness that must be reflected back to me as abundant wealth." Then throughout the day, pausing to check your emotional state whenever you engage with money, ensuring you maintain the inner condition that must manifest as outer abundance. Chapter 24. The Invisible Path. Deep in the untamed jungle, Philip hacked desperately at thick vines with his machete, consulting his worn map for the 1,000th time. Despite months of calculated effort to reach the legendary city of gold, he had made little progress. His logical mind insisted that forceful determination would eventually break through, yet exhaustion consumed him until he collapsed into fitful sleep beneath towering trees. In his dreams, a voice whispered, "Lower your blade." The path reveals itself only to those who trust each step. Upon waking, a brilliant blue butterfly landed on his compass. Against all reason, he felt pulled to follow as it drifted between the trees. With each step taken in surrender, an invisible trail seemed to materialize beneath his feet. The butterfly led him a long ways his map had never shown, through passages that appeared impossible until the moment he stepped into them. Within days, he stood before golden spires that had eluded his months of forced effort. When you release your grip on how prosperity must arrive, you activate forces beyond your limited perception. The universe operates through invisible currents that rarely align with your logical plans. Your mind can only perceive possibilities based on past experience, while the infinite intelligence that orchestrates all creation sees pathways you cannot imagine from your current vantage point. Every master manifestor throughout history has discovered this same truth. The greatest abundance arrives not through forced action, but through surrender to moment-by-moment guidance. When you release your insistence on seeing the entire path before taking a step, you allow the universe to reveal routes that transcend your limited vision. In a small village, Sarah spent years trying to sell her woven goods through conventional markets, growing increasingly frustrated as her logical strategies failed to create sustainable income. One morning, a mysterious child appeared at her loom, showing her how to soften her gaze until random threads revealed surprising patterns. "See how beauty emerges when you stop forcing your vision?" the child asked. "Your prosperity works the same way." Taking this wisdom to heart, Sarah began to notice subtle nudges toward unexpected opportunities, a chance conversation that led to an exclusive commission, an unconventional venue that perfectly matched her work. By releasing her rigid plans and following each intuitive step, she discovered markets for her creations that her limited perspective could never have conceived. The Invisible Path meditation invites you to spend time daily in contemplative walking, either in nature or a quiet space, beginning with the intention to be shown the next step on your prosperity path, then moving forward with no predetermined direction, pausing after each step to notice subtle impulses of guidance, recording in a journal each evening the unexpected insights and opportunities that emerge when you follow the path that appears only as you surrender to its unfolding. Chapter 25: The Abundance Ecosystem. In the dense northern woods, Nathaniel swung his axe with fierce determination, focused solely on maximizing his timber harvest. Each tree represented potential profit, and he saw the forest only as resources to be claimed. Yet as exhaustion overtook him one evening, he fell into a profound sleep beneath the canopy. In his dream, his consciousness expanded until he became the forest itself. He experienced how each tree's roots intertwined with underground fungal networks that distributed nutrients across the ecosystem. He felt how older trees shared resources with younger ones, how different species supported each other through complementary relationships. The forest's abundance flowed not through individual accumulation, but through an intricate dance of giving and receiving. When you understand the true nature of prosperity, you recognize that wealth operates as a living system rather than an isolated pursuit. The universe functions through networks of mutual support, where true abundance emerges from participation in the greater flow rather than withdrawal from it. Just as a tree cannot thrive by hoarding nutrients but must both receive and contribute to its ecosystem, your prosperity grows through conscious participation in the circulation of abundance. When you attempt to accumulate wealth in isolation, you create energetic stagnation that ultimately limits your supply. In the village market, Louisa's small bakery struggled as she guarded her recipes and tried to undercut her competition's prices. She saw other vendors as threats to be eliminated rather than potential allies in a greater system of prosperity. One morning, an elder vendor watched her turn away a neighboring cheesemaker who had proposed a collaboration. "Child," the elder said, "a single flower cannot make a garden bloom." She explained how the market's most successful vendors created complementary relationships, each contributing to the other's growth. Gradually, Louisa began partnering with other vendors, Her fresh bread paired perfectly with local cheeses. Her pastries showcased seasonal fruits from the orchards. Her breakfast offerings drew customers who then visited other stalls. As she contributed to the market's collective success, her own prosperity flourished beyond what competition had ever achieved. For the ecosystem expansion ritual, create a detailed map of your current prosperity network. Draw connecting lines between yourself and every person, business, or circumstance that contributes to your financial well-being. Each day, strengthen these connections through conscious appreciation and reciprocity. Look for opportunities to expand your ecosystem in ways that create mutual benefit. Reflect daily on how you might increase others' prosperity within your system while affirming, "As I contribute to the abundance of the whole, I naturally increase my own supply according to universal law." Chapter 26. The Royal Secret. In the hushed halls of an ancient library, Gregory's hands trembled as he unrolled delicate scrolls that had been sealed for centuries. As lamplight flickered across time-worn parchment, his eyes widened at the revelation before him. Throughout ages past, from Mesopotamian merchants to medieval lords, those who accumulated vast wealth shared a secret practice, one deliberately obscured from common knowledge. These prosperous souls made decisions not from a place of seeking wealth, but from the quiet certainty of already possessing it. They moved through life as if abundance was their natural inheritance, allowing them to perceive opportunities that remained invisible to those desperately pursuing prosperity. When you understand this hidden wisdom, you recognize why it has been guarded so carefully through time. The consciousness of already having enough creates an energetic resonance that naturally draws more abundance toward you, while the consciousness of seeking and striving actually perpetuates the very search it aims to end. This truth stands in stark contrast to the mass consciousness that dominates your world today, a consciousness of lack, limitation, and endless pursuit. Yet you have the power to step out of this collective hypnosis and into the royal consciousness that is your birthright. In a small village, Harriet crafted exquisite pieces in her workshop, yet struggled to earn enough for basic needs. One evening, while clearing her grandmother's attic, she discovered a leather-bound journal that revealed an astonishing truth. She descended from a noble line that had lost its fortune generations ago. Yet what captured Harriet's attention wasn't the lost wealth, but her grandmother's description of how the family maintained their inner nobility, even in reduced circumstances. Inspired, Harriet began approaching her work differently. Rather than creating from anxiety about sales, she allowed herself to embody her noble heritage, making decisions as if prosperity still flowed naturally through her bloodline. Mysteriously, new patrons appeared, recognizing the true value of her artistry and gladly paying prices that reflected its worth. The Royal Mindset practice invites you to dedicate one sacred day each week to embodying the consciousness of complete abundance. On this day, you shall move through the world as though your desired prosperity already flows through every aspect of your existence. Make each choice, from the simplest morning ritual to the most significant decision, not from the limited perception of current means, but from the expanded awareness of your true noble nature. As you navigate this day, observe how your entire being shifts, how you carry yourself differently. Speak with quiet authority and naturally attract opportunities that match your elevated frequency. Notice how others respond to this transformation in your energy, how doors seem to open effortlessly before you, and how synchronicities appear with increasing regularity. Keep a sacred journal of your observations, recording the subtle and profound ways this consciousness of abundance manifests in your daily experience. Document how your choices differ when made from prosperity rather than scarcity, how your interactions transform when you embody complete sufficiency, and how the universe mirrors back your expanded state of being. Through consistent practice, you will discover that this royal consciousness becomes increasingly natural, eventually flowing into all 7 days of your week. This is not merely a temporary exercise, but a gateway to your permanent state of being, the restoration of your true prosperity consciousness that has always been your divine inheritance. Chapter 27. The Divine Inheritance. In a dimly lit attic room, Frances huddled beneath thin blankets, marking her 18th birthday alone as she had marked every birthday before. The orphanage had been her only home, each day a struggle for basic necessities. As evening shadows lengthened, an unexpected knock echoed through her bare chamber. A distinguished messenger in formal attire presented her with an ornate envelope bearing a golden seal. Inside, official documents revealed a truth that shattered her understanding of reality. She was the sole heir to one of the country's largest fortunes, a vast wealth that had been accumulating interest since her birth. The inheritance required nothing from her but recognition of her true identity and a simple signature of acceptance. The core truth that lies before you mirrors Frances's revelation. Unlimited abundance is not a distant prize to be won through struggle, but your spiritual birthright, a divine inheritance that has always been yours, waiting only for your recognition and acceptance. Just as Frances's fortune grew even in her ignorance of its existence, the infinite prosperity of the universe has already been allocated to you, requiring no qualification beyond your willingness to claim it. In the soft light of dawn, Thomas tended the magnificent gardens of the Blackbrook estate as he had for decades, his calloused hands moving with practiced care among the roses. When an ancient letter fell from a crumbling wall, its contents transformed his world. He was the rightful heir to the very grounds he had serviced as a gardener. His poverty had been nothing but a case of mistaken identity, his true heritage, waiting only for his acceptance. Your own relationship with abundance stands at a similar threshold of recognition. Like Thomas, you have perhaps been tending the gardens of limitation while your vast inheritance awaits your claim. The universe holds no requirement of worthiness, no demand for qualification, only your acceptance of who you truly are. The inheritance ceremony invites you to create a formal document acknowledging your divine birthright to abundance, writing in beautiful calligraphy or typing in elegant font. I, your name, do hereby recognize and claim my divine inheritance of unlimited prosperity as my natural birthright. Signing and dating this declaration before creating a special place to display it, then spending time each morning and evening standing before it with hand over heart, simply feeling the truth of your inheritance flowing through you while affirming, I now accept what has always been mine. Chapter 28. The Law of Circulation. Elizabeth lived in a grand manor filled with hidden wealth, yet abundance seemed to slip through her fingers like water through a sieve. Iron chests concealed beneath floorboards and tucked behind walls held her substantial savings, yet with each passing season her prosperity dwindled despite her careful hoarding. Night after night she dreamed of a crystal stream that grew dark and stagnant when blocked by a dam, but flowed pure and plentiful when allowed to run free. The dream's message finally pierced her consciousness. Her desperate grip on wealth was causing the very scarcity she feared. With trembling hands, She began releasing her hoarded resources into circulation, investing in local businesses and supporting worthy endeavors. To her amazement, this released wealth returned to her multiplied through channels she could never have predicted. This eternal truth now stands before you. Money, like water, must flow to maintain its life-giving properties. When you dam a stream, it becomes stagnant and loses its power to nurture. Similarly, when you hoard prosperity out of fear, you create energetic blockages that prevent fresh abundance from reaching you. The universe operates through circulation. Every release creates space for new receiving. Every generous act opens a channel for greater prosperity to flow. Edward, a merchant in the eastern provinces, clutched his coins so tightly they left permanent marks in his palms. His ledgers showed impressive savings, yet anxiety about loss consumed him until he met James, a prosperous farmer whose fields yielded abundant harvests. The farmer shared his secret. He freely circulated 10% of his earnings back into the soil and community rather than hoarding every grain. Though skeptical, Edward began cautiously following this practice, releasing 1/10 of his holdings into worthy ventures. As he watched this intentional circulation create returns far exceeding his lifetime of accumulation, he understood at last that prosperity expands not through desperate retention, but through conscious release. The sacred circulation practice invites you to establish an intentional flow of abundance by selecting a meaningful percentage of your current resources, be they monetary, material, or energetic, to consciously release each lunar cycle. This sacred practice asks you to thoughtfully direct these resources toward individuals, worthy causes, or organizations that deeply resonate with your highest spiritual values and aspirations. This circulation must be approached not through the lens of mere charitable giving, but as a profound spiritual practice of consciously participating in the universal flow of abundance. As you engage in this sacred exchange, maintain a dedicated prosperity journal, recording not only the amount given, but the deeper spiritual revelations that emerge through each act of circulation. In your journal, document the subtle yet powerful sensations that arise during the act of giving, the lightness in your heart, the surge of divine connection, the gentle knowing that you are in harmony with universal law. Note with wonder the mysterious and often unexpected pathways through which abundance finds its way back to you, multiplied in ways your limited mind could never have conceived. With each conscious act of circulation, seal your practice with this powerful affirmation, speaking it with the conviction of one who understands the eternal laws of prosperity. As I release with joy, I create space to receive with grace. Let these words resonate through your being, knowing they activate ancient principles of abundance that have guided seekers throughout the ages. Chapter 29. The Abundance Alignment. In the quiet streets of an ancient city, Benjamin labored over his timepieces with extraordinary precision. Though his craftsmanship was unmatched, his business faltered inexplicably. One night, in the depths of sleep, he found himself transported to a mysterious workshop where an ageless horologist stood among countless clocks of increasing intricacy. "Observe," the master spoke, revealing the inner workings of each timepiece. "When even one gear turns against the others, the entire mechanism fails. So too with prosperity. All aspects of your being must turn in perfect harmony with universal law." This truth now stands before you. Prosperity manifests only through complete alignment of your consciousness. Just as a masterpiece timepiece requires every component to work in perfect synchronicity, your relationship with abundance demands harmony across all dimensions of your being. When your conscious mind affirms prosperity, while your emotions contract in fear. When your words speak abundance while your body tenses in scarcity, these subtle misalignments disrupt the natural flow of wealth. In a distant valley, Margaret practiced the healing arts with dedicated skill, yet her prosperity ebbed and flowed like an uncertain tide. Upon seeking guidance in the mountains, she encountered an ancient medicine woman who taught her to listen deeply to all aspects of herself simultaneously. "Speak of abundance," the wise one instructed, "and notice how your heart responds, how your hands react, how your thoughts align. For when your declaration of prosperity causes your heart to doubt, your hands to clutch, or your mind to calculate in lack, this discord scatters your manifestation energy to the winds." Through patient practice, Margaret learned to create perfect harmony among all aspects of herself when engaging with abundance. Only then did her prosperity stabilize and grow, reflecting the natural state of aligned consciousness. The alignment attunement practice opens a sacred gateway to your deepest manifestation power through a daily ritual of profound self-observation. As you settle into a quiet space, allow yourself to become fully present with each dimension of your being. Begin by stating your prosperity intentions with clear, unwavering voice, while simultaneously scanning your entire consciousness like a master tuning a precious instrument. Notice first your thoughts. Do they sparkle with possibility or whisper doubts? Then sink into your emotional landscape. Does your heart expand with joy or contract with ancient fears? Feel into your physical vessel. Where does your body hold tension? Where does it flow freely? Finally, attune to your spiritual essence. Does your soul dance with the infinite or hesitate in separation? When you discover places of resistance, perhaps a tightening in your solar plexus as you speak of wealth, or a flash of unworthiness in your mind, pause there with gentle awareness. Work tenderly with each discordant note until it transforms into harmony. Only when you sense complete congruence across all aspects, speak these words of power with your entire being. I am now in perfect harmony with unlimited abundance across all dimensions of my being, allowing prosperity to flow through me without obstruction. Let this declaration resonate through every cell, every thought, every feeling, creating a symphony of alignment that opens the floodgates of universal abundance. Practice this attunement daily, for it is through consistent conscious harmony that you become a pure channel for prosperity's natural flow. Chapter 30. The Master's Mind. In the quietude of dawn, Samuel sat before his altar adorned with crystals, affirmations, and sacred objects, tools he had faithfully used for years in his pursuit of prosperity. Though his dedication had brought modest returns, something essential eluded him. Upon climbing a mountain in search of deeper wisdom, he encountered an aged master who sat empty-handed beneath a tree, yet radiated an unmistakable aura of abundance. "Show me your techniques," Samuel implored. The master smiled. "I have none. I am simply what you seek to become." This truth now stands before you. The ultimate state of prosperity consciousness transcends all techniques and practices. When you have become abundance itself, manifestation requires no effort, just as you need not remember to breathe or remind your heart to beat. This natural state emerges not through accumulation of practices, but through recognition of what you already are. As your consciousness evolves, you begin to notice subtle shifts, moments when prosperity flows without thought, when abundance appears without effort, when you catch yourself simply being what you once strived to create. These glimpses reveal your emerging mastery, showing how the seeker gradually dissolves into that which was sought. In a distant valley, Sophia dedicated herself to spiritual practices for manifesting abundance, maintaining rigorous disciplines year after year. Then one morning, while performing her usual prosperity ritual, something profound shifted within her consciousness. The boundary between herself and the infinite source of abundance simply dissolved. In that moment, all her practices fell away naturally, replaced by the simple recognition of her true nature as abundance itself. From that day forward, Sophia discovered that her greatest manifestations occurred not through doing, but through being. The very prosperity she had long pursued now expressed through her effortlessly, simply because she had recognized herself as inseparable from its source. The Mastery Meditation beckons you into a profound surrender of all external tools. For 30 days, set aside your prosperity techniques, carefully crafted vision boards, meticulously written affirmations, and conscious manifestation rituals. These have served as bridges, but now it is time to cross into deeper waters. Instead, devote time each day to sitting in pure, receptive silence. In this sacred stillness, allow yourself to sink beneath the surface of doing into the depths of being. Here, in this luminous space, rest in the recognition that you have never been separate from the infinite source of all abundance. You need not reach for prosperity, for you are prosperity itself expressing. Let your meditation be free from striving or seeking. Simply abide in the timeless awareness captured in the ancient affirmation, "I am that I am." These words, whispered through the corridors of time, carry the essence of ultimate truth, that you are already complete, already whole, already one with the source of all creation. As you rest in this profound alignment, trust that the perfect expression of abundance naturally flows through every dimension of your experience. Like a flower turning toward the sun without effort or thought, your life begins to unfold in perfect harmony with universal law. No longer must you make things happen. Instead, allow yourself to be the channel through which infinite abundance expresses itself, effortlessly and without attachment to outcomes. If you enjoyed this audiobook, I created a free ebook version for you. You can download it using the link in the pinned comment. Conclusion. The ancient wisdom you have absorbed through these chapters now lives within you, not merely as knowledge but as a transformed state of being. As you have journeyed through the backwards money law, you have unlearned the limiting beliefs that once bound you to struggle and embrace the counterintuitive truth that abundance flows not to those who chase it, but to those who embody it. The paradoxical principles you have discovered, that effort creates resistance, that giving increases receiving, that stillness generates movement, that release produces gain, have reshaped your relationship with prosperity at the deepest level. No longer do you stand as a seeker of wealth, but as a conscious conduit through which the universe's unlimited abundance naturally flows. The transformation you have undergone is not temporary but permanent, for you now recognize money as simply one expression of the universal energy that responds with perfect precision to your consciousness. As you live these principles in the days and years ahead, you will witness their power unfolding in ever-expanding ways, bringing prosperity not only to yourself, but to all whose lives you touch. Remember that this wisdom must be lived rather than merely understood, for it is through your embodiment of these truths that their full power is released. You have been initiated into an ancient lineage of those who understand the backwards nature of true abundance, and now the sacred responsibility of wealth consciousness rests in your hands. Walk forward in the absolute certainty that prosperity is not your goal but your essence, not your future but your now. Money truly does obey you, for it follows your consciousness with unfailing loyalty. You need never struggle again, for you have discovered the ultimate truth. When you stop trying, abundance appears out of nowhere. What would you choose today if you believed abundance already belonged to you? Write it below. Claim it. And if this message met you in the perfect moment, subscribe, not to consume more, but to join a channel that reflects the version of you who's done searching and finally receiving. If you enjoyed this exclusive audiobook, I handpicked this next book which will change your life.